This is essential. It will show us our humanity. It will unite us. What if you was to ask me, we can talk about very fanciful things to do, but there are simple things to do as well. How can we reduce the effort of climate change? The poor do it, they walk. The poor do it, they use a bicycle. These two functions, natural functions, the West has rediscovered, and there'll be cities and find priority given to vehicles. It will be given first to the pedestrian, and then to the bicycle, and then to the public transport. Can I envisage a world, can I envisage Pakistan, where from this day onwards, the government, all the governments of Pakistan, the provincial as well as the federal, stop providing cars to judges, to bureaucrats, to army officers, and with the same amount of money, buy buses, fix pavements, make cycle paths. You save on your import bill, you save on contributing global warming gases into the atmosphere, and you become healthy as well. And this is the way of the Prophet too. He shared his ride. He did not occupy it with his companion, and he asked them to ride it in turn. And what more can we do? We can't solve climate change. We can certainly mitigate against it. Another factor, and a very easy factor in mitigation, would be to plant trees, an abundance of trees. Pakistan's forest cover is one of the lowest in the world. I've been reading the figure of 4% since the last 40 years. So in other words, that it has stood static. In reality, it is not so. But the fact is we don't have proper statistics. So we have denuded Pakistan of trees. We can simply plant a tree. It doesn't cost much. It doesn't cost anything, really. Does our religion have something to say about this? Yes, it does. Doomsday arrived. The companion of the Prophet asked him, Ya Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, if doomsday comes and I have a seed or a sapling in my hand, what should I do? The answer was, plant it. Akhirat or shajarkari, think about it. Another, either we have too much water or we have too little, as a distinguished speaker had earlier mentioned. What does our faith teach us about it? Do not waste water, the Prophet said. A companion responded, what if I'm using it for ablution, for performing prayer? The response came, and even if you're standing next to a flowing river. The devastation that has taken place is, one of the reasons is, because rivers have been narrowed down, the areas around them where there used to be natural spillage has been taken over, construction right at the edge of the river. This too, Islam prohibits reading prayers where there are water channels. This is a established hadith. So there are many ways to start mitigating. We don't have to be taught by the West. We don't have to be taught by the United Nations. We have to relearn what we have forgotten. I shall now come to the other three related topics of population. First and foremost, population growth. Horrific statistics have been presented. I'll present another. 50 years ago, we had a country comprising of two provinces, East and West Pakistan. Its combined population was 132 million. West Pakistan became Pakistan, East Pakistan became Bangladesh. In 1972, the population of West Pakistan was 60 million and East Pakistan was 72 million. Today, in 2022, the population of West Pakistan is 230 million and that of East Pakistan is 168 million. We jumped by 170 million. They increased by 96 million. We were 3.8 times is our increase, and there has been 2.3 times. Why the difference? We shared the same faith. We are both predominantly Muslim countries. One reason could be because we banished family planning and they embraced it. And who is the better for it? There are other statistics which I don't need to go, but you can check up between the two countries and where they're heading. Family planning has become a taboo in Pakistan. And this happened on a false assumption, lack of knowledge about one's faith, and for political reasons. The Holy Quran doesn't enlighten us about contraception. The theological view of classical ulama are jurists and scholars of Islam, was that what is not prohibited is permissible. The Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, authorized coitus interruptus. The ulama were united in their view that there was no moral significance in destroying the male or female seed. But then the United Nations Population Conference took place in 1994 in Cairo, Egypt. And, believe it or not, the Vatican delegates and some political ulama joined hands. Coitus interruptus was the sin of Onan, son of Judah, who married his deceased brother's wife, Tamar. Onan, as per Genesis 38:8, was destroyed by God. So, for this sin, from there we get the word onanism. Classical Islam said the very opposite. They were all unanimous in their view on this. They went even further. The question of abortion has taken the United States by storm. The classical ulama had a lot to say about it. Almost all the mazahib, except probably the Maliki mazahib, the majority of the Maliki mazahib, there are exceptions there as well, accepted this till the 16th week. Why? And they base their views or analogy or discussion, ijtihad, on hadith, which said that till the ruh, the spirit, is blown into the fetus, or rather till ensoulment takes place, it is nothing. An example given by the classical jurists of Islam was it would be as if the crushing of a date stone, which is not equivalent to uprooting a date palm. Amongst the fundamental work that the superior courts, by which one means the High Courts and the Supreme Court, does, is the enforcement of fundamental rights. Fundamental rights, the most significant of which is the right to life, Article 9, compulsory education for everyone, boys and girls, Article 25A. Both came under attack in Pakistan. Another horrific statistic that I want to share with you, determined by the Global Terrorism Database from 1970 to the year 2019, was that there were 1,000 attacks on educational institutions in the country. The Supreme Court, a judgment I authored, delivered a judgment on the Sangota public school case. This was the only girls' school in Swat attended by 1,000 girl students, which was bombed and closed for 5 years. This is Civil Appeal 71P of 2014. You can check it up on the Supreme Court website. We are then faced with, we are negotiating with terrorists. Who does it? And what is offered? What do they do? What do you say? Please bomb 5 schools and not 6. Please take some money. Please give you some weapons. What is on the negotiating table? Where do these negotiations take place? Who authorizes them? The only negotiation which a true Muslim can have with a terrorist in the garb of Islam would be to present him with the Quran and Sunnah. What, after all, is the first commandment of Almighty Allah to us? It is Iqra, read. And this is the command form of the word. Those of you who know Arabic, Iqra is a command form. It's like stop, when on the road sign says stop, that sort of thing. So it is the first word. What does this 96th surah, which is actually the first surah, goes on to say? It talks about the kalam and ilm. And if we want to move to the example of the greatest human being, what did he do when he took prisoners at the Battle of Badr? He asked them, because Muslim community was mostly illiterate, teach 10 of them to read and write, secure your freedom. Then we have another horrific thing happening in Pakistan, which is called, I don't know why it's called, honor killings, which is an abomination in Pakistan, which I categorize as a dead letter law because it is not implemented ever. And this is one of the few laws which derives directly from the Holy Quran, the text of the Holy Quran, and that is the offense of qazf. And I will now cite the Quranic verse. And those who launch a charge against chaste women and produce not 4 witnesses, flog them with 80 stripes, and reject forever their evidence. For such men are wicked transgressors. This, to allege, impute a character of a woman, requires a far greater standard of proof than is required for murder or a financial transaction. Here you require 4 adult witnesses. So in the world, qazf is not enough for the developed world or the Western world. And this is done over 1400 years ago. Qazf, the concept, is completely alien in the West. It's not civil, it's criminal. How many prosecutions of qazf take place? I'm not aware of any. Then our faith, we are taught to respect women. It's not to be good-mannered, it is to abide by your faith. Islam is probably, I'm not a scholar of religions, but what limited I know is the only faith where a woman, the footsteps threaded by a woman are followed by every Muslim at least once in his lifetime, if he or she can afford to go to Hajj. And that is Sa'i. The footsteps, or where the distressed mother of Hazrat Ismail alayhi salam, Bibi Hajar, walked and ran. And this we emulate her steps.